welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Real quick, I want to go over this is a Pacifica 3.6 liter Pentastar engine, generation 3 engine. Okay, what I want to go over is I'm getting ready to do a tune-up. Well, I'm getting ready to replace the spark plugs. Okay, now that could be called a tune-up. Some people may call it a tune-up, but y'all know how I feel about calling just spark plug replacement a tune-up. There's a lot that goes into a tune-up, guys. The tune-up number one goal is to help restore peak performance, help the car get back to its peak performance that it was at during birth. It was first made. Okay, now replacing worn out spark plugs will help do that. All right, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna kill two birds in one stone. We got to get this plenum off, so I can go over how to get this plenum off, and you already know how to replace spark plug once the plenum is off. Okay, guys, so without wasting a lot of time, we're gonna get right into it. All right, guys, you got two bolts right here and this air cleaner. All of this has to come off, so let's get with it. Alright guys, as you can see, we're doing a tune-up. As you can see, you can get to the rear cylinders 1, 3, and 5 without removing a lot of stuff. Okay, in fact, I have already removed the coils. They just held on by 10mm bolts. So you can get all three of those out and simply pull straight up on the coil to remove them. The intake was have to be removed in order to get cylinders 2, 4, and 6. Alright, so basically, man, just start on you want everything off of the intake manifold. The purge has to be off. Just lay it to the side. We got to get the PCV valve hose off. Get this laid here. We got to get the PCV valve hose off. We got to get the brake booster hose off. Just push down on the connector, remove that. Okay, it's held on by 8mm screws. Okay, let's get this hose off of the intake. Just lay everything to the side, but mind you where everything go for reinstallation purposes. Okay, now this bracket right here, these 10mm have to come off. We gotta unhook everything that's attached, holding the plenum on. And the EGR tube, this big hose here has to come off. So just simply squeeze the clamp and remove the hose off of it. With some more brackets under here. I'm gonna show you as I go, guys. So get this hose off and grab my socket to get these 10mm bolts off. All right, let's get with it. Alright guys, now we got to get the other end of this air cleaner hose off because it is in the way of gaining access to this bracket. So just push down on the white connector and pull. Okay, you got to find a way to push that down in order to release it. Alright, we got to get the harness off. Got to get the harness off of the EGR valve and map sensor and just lay that to the side. This is what I was fighting with. Okay, once we got that out, now we can get to this 10mm bracket screw that's holding the intake on. Alright guys, got that out. Now let's start removing the plenum gasket or the plenum bolts to see if anything else holding on, because it's hard to tell with these new manifolds, guys. So let's get all 8 of these off. Now, just pick up on it, see what you have. I always pick these bolts all the way up and go in a counterclockwise position so you can make sure they're not still threaded into the lower intake. Okay, so now just remember guys, we got to get this EGR hose out. I'm trying to make sure I have cleared the brackets, and from the sound of it, I haven't. All right, so let me look down in here for some more. All right, so we got to get the brake pump, electric brake pump bracket off. Let's get this bolt right here. Okay, I already got the one off from down here. Alright guys, so once we got that last bolt off at the very bottom of this bracket right here, that was the only hurdle left. Alright, now of course you know to pry off the EGR tube, and it should be ready to, yeah, it should be ready to come up now. And there you go guys, got the intake plenum off. The bracket left it on the throttle body, but yeah, it was fighting with that. Okay, so now it's pretty easy to go ahead and replace cylinder 2, 4, and 6 spark plugs. Okay, so of course if you take this off, please put it back on. It's there for a reason. Alright, I even got new intake gaskets I'm gonna replace. Okay, now here's the fuel pressure sensor hose that you need to replace if you're doing the fuel pressure sensor. Okay, I spoke on that earlier. It routes all the way up there, comes through here, and bolts right here. In fact, here's my new one that I'm getting ready to install. Okay, pretty simple. In fact, this clamp's already up, so you just insert this and push the clamp down. All right, so I'm gonna get these spark plugs replaced. I already have the rear replaced, just have to put the coils in, and that should wrap it up guys, so stay tuned. So guys, when you remove this, in order to remove it, you get the blue tab come up, and the white tab you got to push in to release it from the fuel rail. Okay, so be careful, don't just yank on it, especially if you're going to reuse this. A lot of guys don't care when they're removing it, because it's plastic up against this. They figure they'll damage this first, but you could still easily damage this rail connection. Okay, the other end the same way guys. You got to lift up on the red tab and push up on the underneath tab. All right, remove the connector and just unroute it. As you can see, it routes in here, and from there just simply remove. Take note of how you're removing it so you know to go under, you know, the right position. All right, so here you go guys, fuel pressure sensor. All right, this one failed because of electrical parts, circuit load. They can fail a number of ways. They can leak, or they can just not send a proper signal to the computer and cause you stalling, hesitation, all kinds of things. Okay, but that's how to replace it. I got the intake off, which made it easier. I've seen guys fight with it to get it off from the rail right here. I've seen guys fight with it, and they were successful fighting with it to get it off, and they got it off. I chose to remove the intake because I have to do spark plugs anyway. Okay, so if anybody ever done one without removing the intake, put it in the comment, let us know how you did it, or if it was possible again. So I'm gonna wrap this video up guys. That is all I have. In order to install this, just reverse the removal procedure. Okay, so it's no big deal. I'm gonna clean that throttle body out, replace all these spark plugs. I have 3 more plugs to replace. I've already done the ones in the rear. This is pretty self-explanatory. I had to use my swivel to get this bolt here out because I did not want to remove this bracket. So just simply remove the other 2 coils, and that will give you access to the spark plugs. Okay, here's the cam sensors. As you know, they're fairly easy once the plenum is off. Okay, and guys, y'all know how I do these coils. I tend to use dielectric grease. In fact, so you see how hard even the newer cars, see how hard these plugs are, this coil is to get off. I always go back on with, see, Oh Lord, please don't break. It came off whole. Yes, you don't want that to break on you. You will have to charge the customer for another cord. Okay guys, just take some dielectric grease and just put a little bit right there on the end and a little bit right here on the rubber part. Okay, you don't want this coil to break off inside. That could really give you some problems. I always tend to put a little bit around the coil right here and a little bit right here. Alright, so that would make installation, see that? The next guy to do a tune-up on this will thank me for this. And I highly recommend you do this. This is what I use. Dielectric grease from Mopar. This doesn't have to be Mopar, but this is what I used on this. Okay guys, so let me finish this tune-up up. Alright guys, I am done. I've did everything, replaced the fuel pressure sensor. Okay, that's included in the line. Alright, it's a line that routes to the fuel rail. Okay, now we got all spark plugs replaced. Y'all remember what a tune-up is designed to do, to help restore peak performance of the engine. Okay, this engine has 50,000 miles. All we're trying to do is get it back to where it was in the beginning. Peak performance. Okay, now in doing that, you may have to replace some worn out parts, some wearable parts, some parts designed to wear. Okay, such as spark plugs. So that's probably why they call it a tune-up when you just replace some spark plugs. But a tune-up goes further than that. Okay, I made sure the air cleaner, the air filter was clean. In fact, there's a new one, PCV valve. I cleaned the throttle body, made sure the engine can breathe properly. EGR tube, everything is on. And last but not least guys, I went to the computer to verify if the control modules was up to date. Namely, more importantly, the PCM and the TCM. Okay, now this has a separate TCM because this is a 9-speed transmission. Alright, so it will have its own TCM. And in fact, the TCM was out of date. So I ended up flash updating the TCM. And I made sure the PCM was up to date. Okay, so that is taken care of. So now I will go steam clean this engine. Man, if it's going to look new, or if it's going to run new, like new, it might as well look new. Okay, so I'm going to go over and steam clean all this dirt over here. Top off all the remaining of the fluid, and that wraps it up, guys. That is all I have. Tune up on a Generation 3 Pentastar engine found in this is a Pacifica, guys. Okay, this engine first showed up on a 2016 Dodge Durango and the Grand Cherokee, then the 2017 Chrysler Pacifica. Alright, so I'm done. I'm gonna go steam clean this, go test drive it. That's the last step, test driving it. Alright, that's all I have, guys. Thanks for watching. Comment, subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next video.